Hello and welcome. I'm your host, author Ryan M. Oliver, and this is the Mighty Books Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Books Podcast. Today with me, I have Randi Moxi. Randi grew up in an animal shelter in West Virginia that was run by her grandmother, Sally. She's seen firsthand how out of control the pet population is in America. Randi lives in the suburbs of Chicago with her loving husband and 5 amazing Pitbull mix fur children. She's a certified dog trainer, animal communicator, life coach, event producer, brand strategist, and motivational speaker. Randi, you sound very busy. How are you today?
I am pretty busy. I am doing very well. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I'm very honored to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk to you today. I think it'll be a good chat. We were already having fun prior to hitting record.
Yeah, we're having a great time.
This is great. I should have recorded all of that prior.
You should have recorded all of it. Yeah,
I should have just hit record.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about your book. What is the title of your book?
A Pittie Pool Party.
And it's a children's book.
It is a children's book, and it is a play on Pittie Party because the dog has one, and then the little girl that rescued her has one, and then the little girl's friends show up and save the day for both her and her rescue Pittie. It's a beautiful story for classrooms and families, and it helps kids understand that it's good to be vulnerable and share their feelings with their family and their friends. And when their friends are real friends, they show up for them in those hard times.
Awesome. That sounds like a wonderful book for families and children. So I'm curious as to, I saw that you grew up in an animal shelter. So you must have been around dogs your entire life.
Yeah, in West Virginia. I grew up in an animal shelter in West Virginia in a very patriarchal society, somehow, some way. My grandmother ran the animal shelter with a bunch of really wonderful women. And I was there from before I could walk. And so I saw a lot of homeless animals. I was able to be the little girl in between for a lot of them. There's a book coming later about that.
Yeah.
And it was tough to see as a child, but to be able to be an adult now and use the children I have, which are the pit bull type dogs that no one can get near or have a hard time with, that wouldn't be easily adopted out. I'm able to take them, rehabilitate them because of my experience, and they just live copacetically in my home. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's cool. So what drew you to pit bulls particularly?
Well, I didn't really know the plight of the pit bull until I moved to Chicago in 2003, 2004. And because I'm an animal person, I was looking for things to do to serve. And I just really started learning more than I think I ever would want to know. I saw significant abuse cases. I saw hoarding cases. I saw dog fighting cases, but I never really saw a pit bull type breed situation growing up in West Virginia. Now they are there now, but whenever I was little, growing up in the 80s, I didn't personally have an experience. When I moved here and looked for ways to volunteer and give back to my community in the suburbs of Chicago, I heard some horrible stories about the fighting and how this brand is just being exploited. It's the most bullied breed there is. It's the most wonderful breed there is. Now that I'm able to help them with my experience and background and rehabilitate them and just learn each individual creature and who they are, and then also learn even more about the beautiful breed. The Staffordshire Terrier, the Bull Terrier, all of the breeds that are under the umbrella of the Pit Bull, which isn't actually a breed.
Right.
It's Pit Bull type dogs. They're just wonderful. They're the most loyal. They're the most strong. And if they're taught to do the wrong thing and they have to do it to survive, they are going to do it well. I can relate to that. I'm basically a pity human. So it's perfect that they're my kids and I'm able to teach these amazing lessons to kids using rescued pit bull type dogs, because our kids need to know that there are animals that need rescued, whether they're Pittie or not.
Yeah.
And they need to know that they're the rescuers of our future.
Pit bulls do have a terrible reputation. Like back
They
when
do.
I was younger, I was always told to be fearful of the pit bull. I mean, that one and Rottweilers were always
Rottweilers, Dobermans.
Dobermans.
It just depends. But here's the thing: if it has teeth and it's an animal, it has the potential to bite.
Right.
It really matters how it's raised, what it's been through, what its experience is. And the more we can shift to treating the creature and the person as the individual they are, and knowing the experience that they are going through or have been through, that's how we're going to connect as people. That's how we're going to connect with our homeless animals. And this way, this book, this story, these simple seeds that are planted, sharing your feelings and talking about it, never judging an individual or a creature by the way it looks. It's inclusivity. It's opening yourself up to not holding all those things in that can potentially lead to disastrous outcomes later as people. And what we're fear projecting onto creatures that have never done anything wrong, but some of them are just trying to survive.
Yeah, I mean, it does not help the fact that they look very burly. They look like they could just tear something apart. They really can. They look very, they look very strong, and people
they are very strong, but most dogs are strong.
Oh yeah,
even the smallest Chihuahua can grab a hold and rip an eye out. You know what I mean? They're animals.
Yes.
And we've domesticated them, and it's our fault. And we need to stand up for them. We need to fix it. Between the puppy mills that the Chihuahuas and the little itty bitties come from, with all of the overbreeding and the abuse that they endure there, then most of the dogs in our shelters in America, whether or not they've got the big bully head, they've got a little bit of bully breed in them at this point.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, like you said before, it starts with learning about the breed. It starts with just talking about the breed, and then honestly, just being nice to treating the dog as well as you'd want to be treated, the whole golden rule thing. And then what I love is, you're using children's books to relate this information, and it does start with the kids. If you want to make a change for your future generation, you start with your kiddos and you say, hey, open up, ask the questions. I just had someone talk about this the other day about inclusivity. So, and it was someone with, people with disabilities. It's like, hey, just start asking questions. Like, people are more willing to answer those questions and you want to talk about why I'm a little different than the rest of the crew? Sure, let's talk. Dogs are no different. You give them a chance to come into your home and be a part of a family, they're going to react. They're pack animals. They want to be in a group. Our dog loves being with us. She freaks out when we're not there. It's like, my people, my pack is gone. What's going on here? This is terrible. So we were talking before we hit record. You said in your book, I love how you had it formatted. You said in the front, when you were making it, the cover's nice and bright, and you have all girl characters, but you format it to grab boys' attention like a comic book. So was this intentional, or just kind of by happenstance you made it that way?
There are several different reasons that it ended up being this way, but I think that it was a natural evolution to get to this point. The girls that are in the book are actually inspired by the girls that I helped lead through my time as a director for Illinois International Pageants. So they're my little preteen beauty queens. Nice. And they're 16 years old and driving now, but I get to forever encapsulate them when I had them when they were 10. Yeah. And so that's the cover. And whenever I sent all of my ideas over to my illustrator, I said, I want it to be vibrant. I want it to be very colorful. And I hope that will reach the boys too. All of the color and the dog. And I think I want to be able to get to girls and boys through this. And she said, well, based on the story you sent me, I kind of want to lay it out like a comic book / graphic novel. And I loved that idea. So Katie Williams is my illustrator. She's amazing. And she just, every step of the way, I would send her pictures, I would send her ideas, we would change words. And she brought my vision to life better than I could have ever imagined. I'm just so thrilled that my fellow author friend, who was my intern, 10 years ago, who became an author and then turned around and taught me how to be an author, referred me to her illustrator. So everything comes full circle, and it's just been an amazing journey.
That's cool. And so when did this come out?
It was late May, early June.
Okay.
Of 2023.
Awesome.
Came out on Amazon to rave reviews, and it's just really exciting. There's been a couple of teachers that have reached out to me that sent me pictures with their classrooms. They want me to come and meet them. They want me to bring the dog, and they were able to have great discussions with their kids about not judging a person by their color or by their color, by how they look, and also by the way they may be acting that day, because you don't know for sure what they're going through. And I just love that when I get messages from teachers and people that present it to their kids and they get to have these great open discussions. It's why I created it. I want it to spread everywhere, because the Pittie positivity is huge and real. They need us, but so do our kids.
Oh yeah. It's like I said, serves two purposes. A, it's to treat, talk about inclusivity with the kids, and then B, you're also spreading awareness of, Pitbulls are actually a great breed. Family member for the half of the family. My older sister's got one, and of course, when she's like, "Oh, I got a new dog," I think his name is Tyson, and he is gorgeous. He's like that nice gray color. I think he's got I can't remember if he's got like the blue eyes or not. But anyway,
I
think I have to check pictures.
Pearl's the blue. The Pearl in the book's the blue.
Oh, okay, yeah. I actually had a friend who was a good breeder of pit bulls. Like, so he only did like one litter every 2 years or something like that, or I can't remember how he did it. But anyway,
I appreciate responsible breeders, but I also have to say there are millions of them dying every day, and we don't need that.
No, yeah. I think he did only 2 litters with his dogs, and after that they were done.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I was asking him all these questions. He had answers for everything, how to handle the health and everything. I was very impressed at what his knowledge base was. He goes, "These are my babies, and they're having babies."
And if they go to someone and it doesn't work out, I take them back. I love responsible breeders, because some people just want to deal with breeders. They want to know the line. They want to know that these dogs are going to be this type, that type, whatever. But whenever you're dealing breed specific, I want to just pull it in there that each dog, just like each person, should be treated as the individual they are. Because every dog, no matter where they came from, no matter what family they came from, and I know we all know this, there's another book coming later about that, that we're all different. And even though we came from these people, or they came from this breed, we don't act according to those parameters that were put in place for this family or this breed. How we act is specific to what we've been through, what we've experienced, what we want, how we're going to get it, what we've learned, how we grow, and what we've shared and communicated. And so I think this book was really great for classrooms and people, and to instill the adopt, don't shop scenario everywhere.
And so I'm curious, you worked with rescue dogs, or you still do work with rescue dogs?
I still do. I rescue my children, and a portion of proceeds does go back to animal rescue.
Awesome.
And it is. I actually just did an event for a group called Live Like Rue Foundation. They actually do care packages and assist people that have canines and a cancer diagnosis with their pets. And it's an amazing group. So I was able to sell the books that day, but there were also several other rescues. So I was able to sell a book and then go buy something from a booth and give Live Like Rue money, give Waukegan Animals Getting Saved. That's the group that that does all the vetting for where I pull mine from, and Bombshell Bullies, so I was able to spread the love right there, not send a check because a book got sold at a store. It was just so interactive and wonderful. And there's so many great organizations out there, but it was a beautiful thing. And there were so many kids there. There were so many dogs there. It was a wonderful family friendly event. And in those moments, whenever there's a handoff right there, it just feels so awesome. And whenever I'm able to send a donation, through electronically, it's awesome as well. But just being able to shake the hand, hug the owner, it's a really great thing. That human connection is so important. The human animal connection is so important.
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit before, you're saying you're kind of getting off of social media. You were a marketer for a long time, promoter, brand strategist.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of social media. And it was just like killing you slowly, because you go on there and it's just very it's not personal. But when you get in those positions where you're talking to people, you're connecting with animals and kids, it fills you up, which is a great thing. It makes you more motivated to do more stuff like this and to make a difference, even if it's $5, $10, it's going towards
getting into the classrooms too. And having that experience where you're reading it, you're sharing it. I've done it so much in bookstores, and I'm just now scheduling my school tour.
Good,
and I'm really excited about that. I went to a PTO conference and met a bunch of PTO moms, and they gave me some great advice about how to get in and really get connected, because I just want to love kids.
Yeah.
I just want to share great stories with kids. I can't have kids myself.
Oh, okay.
And so, but God always shows up.
Yeah.
And he brought me a ton of kids through my time as leadership as a director. He brought me tons of kids that I don't have to pay for their wedding or their school.
I mean, you could have dog weddings.
I could, but I won't.
Yeah, right.
And they get to be in my life and share every story and invite me to go to their schools. One of them that had a brother, a little brother, the mom reached out to me and said, "Oh my gosh, come to his school. They would love it. He would be the star." And so it's just really exciting. Even if the PTO doesn't have a budget, if you can sell these books, get these in these kids' hands, go to the book fairs, get into the schools. I've been a motivational speaker for years. I want to do an assembly about confidence and inclusivity and sharing your feelings and really focusing on who you are and who they are and who they are.
Right.
So that we can all be a wonderful, loving society. It's really important to not be stuck on our screens, to connect.
I love that. Yes. I mean, just looking at the kid, like my kids and other kids I've seen who are so screen heavy time-wise. It is insane at the lack of connectivity, that they're hyper connected with their phones or screens. But when it comes to interpersonal connections, even just connecting emotionally, they just don't know how. And it's because
anxiety. The only thing they have scrolling through their heads is all the things they got from the screen.
Exactly.
They aren't feeling anything because they're overwhelmed with all of the input.
Yes, we are not meant to have these phones and screens between us and to have access to this much information, where it's great for knowledge wise, as long as you're using it appropriately. But if you're just filling time all the time, it's super bad for our brains. We can't, our attention span goes to hell. It's just it's not good. Like, I mean, just connecting with the kids, talking to them is really important. So in sitting down and having those deep conversations about things they don't know about, or haven't experienced yet.
Things they might be uncomfortable to share, but they talk about the dog feeling it.
Heck yes. Yeah, using a medium.
And then that gives them an out to not be in the spotlight.
Right.
And having to put your devices aside and pick up something and touch it and read it and hear it and interact. It's
Yes.
just so important. It's something that's kind of lacking these days. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
really excited to try to get into schools in front of as many kids as I can,
Oh
and
yeah.
just and help those teachers and open the door for those hard conversations. And if, a kid might be feeling the way the dog felt that day, why do people
Right.
think that of us? Why do people think that of me? Well, maybe it's something that we look into, or maybe we just focus on showing them the good things
Right. Yeah.
about
Yeah.
you.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
just think back through your life too. You probably had this before where, I came to work and there was this old crusty guy,
I love
cranky.
old crusty guys.
I do too. And they smell a little strange, but I got over that fast. We live by the water. You're gonna smell seaweed, other gross things. Anyway,
It
besides the
happens.
point. They were warning me, like, he's really cranky, he's really mean, he's just gonna swear at you all day long. And I'm like, so of course, get my guard up, thinking I'm gonna have to defend myself against this guy. Oh my God. We loved talking to each other.
Greatest guy in the world,
He
right?
was really cool. I mean, he had a hard life. He's
Yeah.
bitter, no doubt about it. He was bitter, but it's amazing. You just ask the simple question of, how are you today? And you look at someone in the eye, they're like, oh, connection. Like,
Yeah.
he actually gives a damn. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so we'll ask questions. And then what's funny is you come back 2 days later and then you go, oh, hey, you said you had an appointment. How was that? And they go, he remembered something that we talked about 2 days ago.
Yeah.
What
It's so important. It means
it
the
really
world.
is. It really
Yeah.
and so we just learned that he passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I'm
But yeah,
sorry.
he had cancer. It was terrible, but we had that good connection though, and at least that we could say, at work there were some people he could connect with, which was great. I love talking with the guy. Sometimes he talked too much, and I had things to do, but it's like, give him the time because no one
Right.
else would. A lot of other people wouldn't.
Right.
So it's good that you're doing
And
this.
all those people had those preconceived notions. And if you
Exactly.
had not taken the time,
Right.
you wouldn't have known how awesome he was. You wouldn't have been
Exactly.
able to speak about now that he's gone,
Yeah.
he deserved better.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Exactly.
are truthful to these things about them because their experience, but they were wonderful. They
Yeah.
appreciated connection. We actually just lost our oldest girl,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
the next book is hers, and
Oh, okay,
there's an
cool.
epitaph
Yeah.
about loss in case parents need something to help
Ooh.
kids understand.
Yeah.
If Uncle Joe died, you can
Yeah.
say, remember that story that we read?
Yeah.
Here, that happened to Lucy too, and here's where they go. And
Yeah.
however you're comfortable, I try to make it really politically correct, but I think it's going to be a beautiful way to have that understanding that people and puppies aren't here forever,
No. Yeah.
and neither are we. So we
Exactly.
have to connect with them. We have to show them love. We have to do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're gone, we have to celebrate their life, not fall into darkness because of it.
Yes. Yo, oh God, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I love that you're going in the schools. You're doing what I'm hoping to do in the future, because I would love to do children's books. I've got several ideas. One actually involves a dog. And so gonna,
All of mine involve dogs. We're going to
yeah,
have to talk about that separate. I love
actually
it.
I've got a lot of dog ideas and we'll chat later because they're not really official yet. But anyway, I've worked it out with my family, and they want to jump on the bandwagon too. We just need to
That's
have time to do it. Oh,
awesome.
it's super fun.
Yay.
But getting into schools is really important. So
Yeah.
I actually started going in and doing a little talking with like how to build stories and all that. Problem is,
Right.
mine is a novel. So for
Right.
kids, K through 5, a little out of their skill set yet, obviously,
Right.
but learning how to develop a story, that's their realm.
And
And the
that's all
kids
they want to
connecting.
do
Yeah,
is make believe and make up
exactly.
stories. And I am
Exactly.
actually working on an author program with the first school I ever went to with a Pittie pool party was a special needs school.
No, oh,
And I'm
cool.
going to get to go back and help them write their own books.
Heck yes. That's
And I'm
awesome.
so excited about that.
That's so
And
cool.
it also, because of the inclusivity component,
Yeah.
it's just they should be able to write their stories too.
Yeah.
And to be able to have a reading specialist think that would be something that that she wanted to bring me back in for it was wonderful. There's just all these things. When you open doors, you never know what's going to come. But I'm really excited to actually, just keep reading the story in school and keep writing more stories and just sharing wonderful messages. I mean, they're just like you have the ideas in your head for each one. I'm going to focus, but I have a story with Pitties to celebrate our veterans and a story for Pitties to celebrate kindness and peacekeeping and with the media saying that they're violent to actually take something that everyone thinks is violent and shift it into a story about peacekeeping and just having a wonderful time together.
Changing the lens quite a bit.
Change the story.
Change the story, change the lens, the perspective. Well, that's the thing is about stories. Like I'm a huge history guy. And I love when I look at a scene and you say, okay, well, I want to hear from this side. I want to hear from this side. What, because you can look at anybody or you look at a story in somebody's story and throughout your life and other people's lives. You were the bad guy at one point in time.
Oh, 100%. Me especially. I am a woman and I tell the truth. Boom, done.
Oh, man.
You either love me or you hate me.
That's just villainy, just spells villainy all over it. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's just getting that perspective of, how you react or behave can affect people in different ways.
Yes.
It's just learning how to deal with that or understand the different perspectives of the stories is really helpful because not one person is right. Not one group of people is right. Not one country is right. Not one.
100%. I'm writing a story about Pitbulls.
Yeah.
That's not going to be well received in some circles, but in others that are more inclusive already, they're going to love it.
Yeah. You just got to open up your mind a bit and go, well, so all pit bulls aren't bad? No, actually, there's only a very small percentage of pit bulls.
Nothing is not all bad. There's nothing that's all bad.
Exactly. There was a small percentage of pit bulls that were taken advantage of by people trying to make a profit off of their physique.
And it's not their fault. Physique. It's the people's fault.
Exactly. They're just trying to take example. They're exploiting their physique because they are stout dogs. They are muscle. They look like they're muscle builder dogs.
They're big, muscly babies. I love them.
They're huge. They're huge. Like my sister's dog Tyson. He's just a cuddle bug. He'll just lay there and hang out with her all day and do nothing but just sit and relax. So it's just changing that viewpoint is wonderful. Oh yeah, there she is.
No, this isn't her. This is the big boy.
The big boy.
This is the big boy.
What's his name?
His name's King.
King. I love it. I love it. He's a big guy too.
I'm very uncomfortable. I don't know what's happening.
I hear a voice from the computer. What is this? Yeah, he's beautiful.
Oh, he's such a nice boy.
Yeah. That's so cool. Well, and I love that you are an independent, because if you look at the independent versus traditional, because I thought about I'm independent. So I went, look for traditional versus independent. I guess I'm more hybrid, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that. The beautiful thing about independent versus traditional is that you own your book. You get all of the profits. Yes, you have to front the money to make sure you get it made, but you get that money and you can do whatever you want with it. You can invest it into your other stories. You can invest it into wonderful things like you're doing for the animals, for the dogs. You can buy a lot of dog food for that guy because he looks like he needs food.
He's an 80-pound moose that thinks he's the size of a chihuahua. He thinks he's a lap dog.
Is he a lap dog? He looks like a lap dog.
So sweet.
He looks like a lap dog.
So sweet. He also got sprayed by a skunk, so he stinks.
Oh no! What's the cure for a skunk stench? Is like mayonnaise or something weird like that?
No. It's a mix. It's a mix of peroxide, baking soda, and dish soap, and you just kind of make a mask because it was on his face.
Poor guy.
Because he got him. And unfortunately, the animal demised. But when he demised, all of the stink came out in his face. So his breath smelled wonderful, and it's all around his face. So we did the mask, and he smelled pretty good. But then it started raining.
That's awful. Well, he looks like he's feeling better. At least he's hanging out. So
yeah. Well, he never cared. He was like, "Ooh, that was tasty."
That's true. Dogs really like the stinky stuff, don't they?
Yes,
They
yes,
love
they
the
do.
smelly stuff. I had a mixed breed. What was she? She looked like a fox. This little thing looked like a fox.
Ooh,
She was beautiful. She was a brindle coat, so kind of black, brown, light brown, and dark brown mix. She looked
like a fox and the hound type
like a
thing.
fox and the hound. Really, she did. We
Nice.
actually thought she was a fox when we found her. We found her, and she was like this beautiful looking thing. We're like, don't go near her. She's wild. And then my
Aw.
sisters, of course, they go over there and like, no, it's a dog. We're like, no, it's a dog. It's a dog. So we end up adopting her. Years later, we take her to the beach, and we're in Oregon, and there's horseback riding, everything going on. We didn't think about this, but dogs love poop. Don't know
Oh,
why.
yeah.
No idea why. I haven't the slightest clue, but my stepdad was walking her and the other dog we had, and there was just this big old mound of horse crap. And he said that he saw it in slow motion. Her head tilted. She sniffed it. You could just see like the eyes roll in the back of her head, excitement, and just, yes, gets in there. And he's yelling,
Oh,
no,
they
pulling the
love
dog.
a good stinky roll.
And
They
he just
love a good stinky
pulled
roll.
her through the crap and had a washer. And it was just like, I'm glad it happened to you and not me.
I had
So,
a dog growing up that thought it was his job to clean the litter box for the kitties.
oh, God.
That was nice. That was nice breath whenever
Yeah.
he wanted to give you a kiss. That's for sure.
Especially in the morning. Mom, I'm hungry. It sounds
Yep,
like it
yep.
smells like you ate already. That's disgusting.
Right.
It's disgusting.
It
Ugh.
is.
Anyway,
But I mean, they're animals.
they are.
It is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
The
I have
things
no
that give
idea.
them joy.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't so gross.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, there are things people do that are gross too.
That's true. That's true.
It's just we just have to love people and animals for who and what they like and are.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that's disgusting, but I love you anyway. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Like you stink, but I'll still hug you.
Yeah. Here's a breath mint. Have one of those first, and then we'll chat. Then we'll chat. So I'm really curious as to like the rehabilitation of a pit bull who's been through the ringer. Maybe it was a dog fight, maybe it was just a bad owner
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah.
How does one rehabilitate a dog? I mean, they're very smart animals, but when you get trained to a certain point, can you change the habits? Can you how do you do
You
that?
can refocus.
Yeah.
Again, I will always preach this until the day I die. You have to assess the individual
Yeah.
for what you know, what you don't. And they always need a decompression period because
Okay.
the dog that comes to you out of a shelter or out of an abuse situation or out of a forest preserve, Pearl, that's in the book, she was found in a forest preserve with full teats with no puppies to be found.
Oh.
And so she was very reactive because she thought those people that were actually saving her took her babies. And she
Ooh.
was full of the nutrients her babies needed.
Yeah.
And this big guy was also dumped in a forest preserve.
Oh,
And so I know these things because I know who saved them.
yeah.
Sometimes you've got to rehabilitate a dog with knowing absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
But the most important part of rehabilitating a dog when they come straight out of a forest preserve, straight out of a shelter, straight out of a hoarding case, straight out of their abuser's home, they need to decompress because
Okay.
you're never going to know who that animal is until they finally understand that they are safe.
Okay. And how
So
do you
they are going to be in
decompress?
survival mode
Yeah.
and they are going to be a different creature stuck in fight or flight until it really clicks that they're going to be fed. They're safe. They're going to, these people are okay.
Yeah.
And then you can get to know who that individual dog actually is.
Right.
And it comes slowly and beautifully.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have them around any other dogs during that time.
Probably
you
not.
should just hang out, give them their space. If you've got to leave them in a crate, and just make sure they're fed, put their food in there, take them out on a lead to go to the bathroom, and then put them back in so they have a den, so they feel safe. It's really individualized when I do it. I don't
Okay.
know how others do it. I can speak to some that I've seen successful situations and I've seen
Sure.
unsuccessful situations. Almost always unsuccessful is when they try to just throw them into the pack.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
never know what's happened with other dogs
Right.
before. You never know. You know some people that don't like people.
Yeah.
There
I'm
are
related to a
dogs that
couple of them.
just don't like other dogs
Yeah.
no matter what they've been through. They just want to be a lone ranger.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There
Yeah.
are some people that don't like to be around people for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They're people, they're puppies, they're very specific about who and what they want to be around.
Right.
So the decompression time, whenever, even if it's just the smilest, happiest dog that was a family dog that's going to be perfect for your family, give them some downtime.
Yeah.
It's the best way to set them up for success. Help them remember what it's like to be a domesticated family dog, if they ever knew.
Right.
If they never knew, help them understand this is their new life. So
Yeah.
just give them nothing but love, give them the nutrients they need, give them a safe space, give them exercise to the extent that you can,
Yeah.
but be mindful of what they need in that decompression phase. It's very important.
Interesting. Interesting. And that the decompression phase can be, few days to weeks to months. I'm
I
assuming
would
it's very
start
individualized. Very individualized.
across the board if you want to do a blanket model,
Yeah.
at least 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks.
And
Okay.
on the second week, if you have other dogs to get them acclimated to,
Right.
keep them in separate rooms before that, but start walking them a little bit apart from one another.
Interesting.
Don't get any of the smells, but
Yeah.
just walk and see how they respond. Do they lunge? Do they want to smell? Do they want to go towards them, or are they scared?
Yeah.
You've got to just assess each thing for what it actually is, and it could change day by day.
Well, I mean, hopefully, and that's my thing is like for unsuccessful cases, do those dogs just kind of keep getting recycled to other owners until finally they've kind of got their home? Or I mean, how does that even work?
Well, it depends on what it is. It
Okay.
depends on if the person that is taking them in to rehabilitate them is rehabilitating them to get them ready for rescue.
Okay.
Or if someone is making a commitment that no matter what, we will figure this out for our family.
Sure.
If they have to stay separate, fine. If they can
Yeah.
be a part of the family, fine. It really just depends on, just like the individual creature,
Right.
the individual that's working on rehabilitating them.
Okay.
What is actually going to happen? There have been instances within rescue, within the shelter, where there's been attempts at several different homes
Yeah.
to ascertain there's animal aggression, or they can't be around small children, but
Right.
they're okay with adults. They can't be around men.
Yeah.
And more than likely, some sort of trauma happened that peels the onion back of what is going to set this animal up for success. So sometimes it's a pretty long journey to understand what their future is going to hold. And sometimes they just take trauma and roll with it and just decide they're part of the family. This big guy, he was going through his decompression time. We were going on the walks with all the other dogs and doing the safe thing. And he broke down the door, came up, and was hanging out in the living room one day when I came home from work. He was downstairs in the basement, broke the door, went through 2 gates, and was just hanging out in the living room with everybody. He said, "Hi, I'm part of the family now.
Yeah.
We're done with that.
This is where I exist. I don't want to be by myself anymore. I'm home. Let me hang out with you guys." Oh, that's
and
cool.
We were just fostering him at the time.
Oh,
and
funny.
we said, okay, like you obviously that was something we needed to know. This is your home.
Oh, that's cool.
Done.
How old is he?
He's actually our youngest. He's our baby.
Is he?
Yeah. So on Christmas Eve, he'll be 5.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So you have 4 dogs right now?
Yeah. We lost our oldest. She was almost 16. We lost her this month. And
16?
so,
oh my
yeah,
gosh.
she would have been 16 in December.
Ripe old age.
She survived cancer twice. She had a wonderful life. And I mean, she was, and she was the Snow White of dogs. She would walk at the garden next door, and that's her book.
The Snow White of dogs.
Seriously, squirrels would jump on her back. Wild squirrels, wild rabbits that typically run from dogs would just hop up
Okay.
and put their paws on her nose. Skunks would say
What?
hi to her and not spray her.
What?
Possums would see her and not play dead. It was the
What?
craziest thing. She
Just
was best friends with all the wild animals. So her
whoa.
story is going to teach about cohabitation
Oh, that
and
makes a lot of sense. Oh
community
my.
gardens and it's just she was wonderful. And anyway, to get back
Oh,
to what you asked, we
sorry.
have
That's awesome.
so he's 5. Pearl turned 6 this summer,
Okay.
and Ruka will be 7 in February, and Hawk will be she'll be 8 in February, and Hawk will
Okay.
be 9.
Oh
So
wow.
it's 6,
Very
7, 8,
cool.
9,
Oh, very
and
cool.
or 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all a year apart. So
Yep.
now we have kind of a bunch of senior citizens, but the biggest guy is the youngest guy, and our hound dog, actually the one that looks like a blackmouth cur and Rhodesian Ridgeback. He's got the ridge sometimes.
Ooh,
He came out of a dog that looks like this guy. So he's
weird.
got pity in him, thank God, because the hound dog tendencies are a little intense, but he'll listen. And
Tell me
and
about it. I've got one myself.
yes,
Hmm.
they're lovely.
They are.
And I love him.
Mhm.
And but my girlfriend rescued a dog that looked just like him, but was starving to death.
Oh, poor.
And she called me and asked me a bunch of questions, and she found her in a gas station parking lot.
Ugh.
And so I told her where to go, the best place, the most affordable place to get vet care. And she takes her to the vet to figure out how to put weight on her. And she finds out the reason she's so skinny is all the puppies are eating everything.
Oh my
She's pregnant. And she
God.
freaks out. She's like, I found a dog in a garage or a gas station parking lot. And I was okay with getting her okay and keeping her. But now how many dogs are in her? And I said, well, I'll take a boy, because we had 2 then. And I said, I'll take one of the boys. She was a big, beautiful, pure red Pittie. I said,
Yeah.
I'll take one of the boys because mine are getting older
Yeah.
and I want a younger boy to carry on the things,
Mhm.
farm mentality.
Right.
And out he came looking like a hound dog. A female dog can actually have several different mates that contribute to the litter. So there can be
Really?
different, yeah, there can be different puppies with different daddies.
No, in the same litter?
Yeah.
That I had no idea. That is fascinating. That's crazy. Wow. So you can just have a pit bull and a chihuahua in the same litter if you really, I'd be a little
A
over the
Pittie.
nose.
They actually
Yeah.
have those in Waukegan out here.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Okay, a Great Dane and a Chihuahua. I don't know how that would go about.
I don't either. I don't want to go into
No,
the
I don't either.
analytics of all of
I don't
that.
either. Any of the analytics. No, I have pictures in my head that I want to mute now. I got to
Okay, then just put this picture in there. Pittie
yes,
pool
there we go.
party.
A pity pool party. Oh, that's so cool. Now, how long did it take you to write the pity pool party?
Anytime I sit down to write a book, if it's a kid's book, it doesn't take me more than a couple days. My novel that I'm working on that we'll talk about in a side
Sure.
situation. Actually, I don't think it's a novel. It's more of a biography slash self-help scenario.
Oh, okay.
That will probably, I started it. What month is this? September?
This
I
is September.
started it in August. It
Oh,
will
wow.
probably be done well before the end of the year.
Very good.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah,
long is
this
that
is
one going to be?
something that's been my destiny. I'm anointed to be a speaker and a writer, but I
Yeah.
focused on the speaking side and the using words to make other people's dreams come true. And
Your turn.
now it's time to do what God actually made me to do for me.
Yeah, it's your turn.
I
Yeah.
hope so anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we were talking about earlier with just as you put your energy into it, you keep at it, you're enjoying it. I don't know how you can go wrong with that. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I don't know how you could go wrong with that. Just keep doing what you're doing, enjoy it. It's positivity and energy like that is contagious.
Yeah,
So
and there are lessons and blessings in everything. So I could absolutely
absolutely.
fall on my face, but I'll get up
Yeah.
back up, no problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a lesson learned, a good story for the future when you're talking to people who are, hey, I want to do this author thing too, and you're like, oh, hey, but don't do this because I
Yeah,
fell on my face.
exactly.
It's funny, but don't do this. It hurt.
Exactly.
It's still going to hurt a little bit. So, as a motivational speaker, are you just speaking to kiddos? Are you speaking to adults? Are you speaking to both? I know you're going to schools.
When I started in
Uh-huh.
motivational speaking, it was actually through pageantry in West
Okay.
Virginia. Then when I was going through college, it was motivational speaking and brand building for companies and corporations, and that kind of filtered into a bunch of networking groups. How do I encapsulate my brand message how do I take my 30-second pitch to actually just nailing it a lot better, faster, smarter, cheaper across the board? Keep it simple,
Yeah.
and just
Yes.
honing the message and being really specific about who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
That was something that was empowering for businesses and tons of women events. And I've also spoken to survivors for abuse and domestic abuse and sexual abuse. And so it's kind of across the board. Specifically to what I want to shift it to now, for elementary schools, obviously I want to get in there and help kids understand the power of just being good people, but
Yeah.
most importantly being good to themselves.
Heck yeah.
Because there's no one like them.
Yeah.
And the more you learn about yourself, the more mistakes you make, the more you grow and you live and you learn and you give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And every time it's dark, you find a way to make it light. Anytime something bad happens, you can always turn it into something good.
Right.
And just like this story, and then sharing my story, and then having a conversation about, have you ever felt like that? Do we want to do the Q&A out loud, or do you want to just come and talk to me separately about something and ask what might have helped in that instance, or what you're going through now? I want it to be in their comfort level. I want to start with really fun superhero empowerment and make them comfortable, and then have them really focus on, oh, she's cool. I want that energy. I want to figure out my Moxie.
Yes, your
And
Moxie.
yeah, and everyone has their force, drive, determination. Everyone has that plate on their chest for their superhero stance.
Right.
And that's what I really want to do with the younger kids. With older kids, if I'm able to get into the middle school and the high schools, which I will be because I'm manifesting it and receiving it.
Yeah.
I want to really talk about stepping into the lights that are meant for you.
Yeah.
And if they aren't meant for you and you get a little burned, how you can use it to find the lights that are meant for you by using your unique light.
Wonderful.
It's really important that, especially at those ages, that we're not trying to be everything else, that we're not wanting to be perfect like the supermodels and the Instagram influencers. And I actually have a really funny slide for that particular speech that shows this beautiful modeling gig I did because the artist was inspired by a selfie and I knew him.
Yeah.
And so I did something for him. I don't really do that type of thing anymore.
Sure.
But there's the worst. And I want to show them, guys, like, I used to be a model. I used to be a pageant queen. I just did a photo shoot as a model. And these moments happen for everyone.
Yeah.
But this is the end product that you always see.
Right.
And you can't set your standards based on that, because these moments where you look like that, or you see yourself looking weird or uncomfortable, are the best moments. They teach us the most. They help us grow and figure out who we are. Look at my face. I look like I'm farting, like, just to try to make the kids laugh. and there actually is, my husband popped in. He was with me.
Yeah.
And I said, babe, come over here. Let's get a picture before we start. And so the photographer was like, yeah, I love it. And he pulled me in real close. And I was like, oh, crap, you made me fart. So we start cracking up. And so we have all these outtakes of me and my husband just cracking up. And I want to tell the kids that's because that happened.
Yeah.
You know, everybody does it. But people are just obsessed on the pretty, on the perfect.
Perfection.
But the quest for perfection leads to madness.
Yes.
So stay sane and figure out who you are and do it on purpose.
Oh, the path to perfection leads to madness. Someone needs to put, sew that on a pillow or put it on a poster. I love that. I am writing that down. That is amazing. Because it's the truth.
That came about in one of my pageant speeches to the girls in orientation.
Oh.
I used it quite a bit after that.
Yes.
And adding to it. So the sooner you know who you are and you can do it on purpose, you will celebrate those goofy moments.
Oh yeah. Well, I love that you're basically teaching humility. And the hardest thing for people to do, and one of the hardest things for people to do, in my opinion, is to be humble. Learn to be humble. We taught our kids with board games. They don't really play video games. Kids don't. We do board games and card games. And when they were younger, I mean, we're talking, 2 to when they could start doing board games, to let's just say 6, 7, they'd lose because it's just, you're playing Candyland. No one's in control of Candyland. It's just the cards that come up, and they'd lose. Oh, the tantrums. Oh my goodness. Because they're, it's the end of the world. Because that's just what they are when they're little. And then we can't react like this. It's just a game. You try to put things in perspective, and it just takes time of doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Just learn that you can lose at something and still have fun doing it.
There are wins in every loss.
Exactly.
And no one talks about that. It makes me nuts. There are wins in every loss. And that is a huge part for the older kids to understand. If you lose, it is not the end of the world.
No.
It's not the end of your life.
No.
There are wins in every loss. You can take every bad thing and make it good, specific to you. Yeah. And the sooner you know who you are and start doing it on purpose, you will celebrate and laugh at the goofy moments, and you will be able to take a loss and roll with it so you get to your next win.
Right. And so I've always done it like my youngest was always really hard on himself with losing just anything. Yeah. I look at him like, okay, do you still have a house? Yes. Do you still have a mom and dad? Yes. Do you still have a brother? Yes. Do you still have food on your table? Yes. Do you still have? And I would go through everything. Then why are we crying over a game?
Right.
And just
can you walk? Can you talk? Can you see? Can you taste? Can you feel? Can you breathe?
Exactly.
That list for me. For me, because when I wrote this, it was because I was on my back due to repetitive injury when we rescued her. Oh. So she laid with me and while I was recovering, and it was brutal. And my girlfriend, who is an animal communicator and a human counselor, when you can't figure it out, you phone a friend. I could not figure it out what this was about this girl. I loved her. Yeah. I loved her, but she had that blue energy and she wouldn't listen to me, even though she's the smartest dog I've ever trained. And I knew she knew what I was asking. I could not figure it out because there were times where I didn't really like her and I loved her and I'm her mom. Yeah. And I felt horrible. Yeah. And so I called Sam. I said, what is happening? And she said, Randy, I'm going to steal your line. Are you ready? And because whenever I work with coaches, whenever I get all of the word vomit and I'm trying to hone it down, I'll say, are you ready for this? Yeah. Because I might see trauma, I might see insecurity, I might see uncomfortable things that, you've got to work through until you get to being able to deliver who you truly are. Right. And so she knew that. And so she said, are you ready for your line? And I said, sure. She said, you've got to figure out what you don't like about you. And the sooner you figure that out, you'll start to heal it. Yeah. And it'll help heal her. And I'm going to help you cut to the chase because I know your case. And it's healing your PTSD. Yeah. Yeah. In 30 at this point, it was 23 years of a healing journey. That's a whole different podcast.
Sure.
I had never, not one time, even with everyone knowing where I came from, what I'd been through, that I grew up in an animal shelter, that I had been told repeatedly I was going to die or not walk or both.
Oh, geez.
They never once said PTSD. And so this book was born out of healing my PTSD and hers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. And it's just so funny how it just kind of smacks you in the face one day. It's just, and someone
and I don't think that it does. I think life brings it to you at the right time.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it feels like a smack in the face. And honestly, when I pray and manifest, I say, open it like a vault or slam it like a door. Because I'm extreme. So if I don't get an extreme message, I'm not going to catch on real quick.
Right.
So I know how I need the messages, and that's how I ask them to be brought.
Oh,
but yeah.
Man. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool story. I mean, it's just one of those things that's probably not fun and while you're enduring it, but now that you're talking about, like, that's very inspirational that you're trying to solve a problem. You can't, someone's like, look inside you. It's not the problem in front of you. It's something else. Like, oh, so that deep
and the fact that I was willing to receive it, just like we were talking before about what the kids need to know. And every loss comes a win. That was a loss for me. I've been training dogs since I was a little girl. That was a loss, but I made it into a win for both of us. And hopefully I'll be able to share that. Maybe that'll be the speech in the PTOs where I'm trying to sell myself.
There you go. Yeah.
But it's all for a purpose. It's all needs to be shared. People don't talk enough about these things.
They don't. I feel like we're moving in the right direction just with everyone I've been talking to here and out in the world and at work and at home and everything. I feel like we're getting better at this, letting my wife's really good about having the boys, like when we were growing up, kids, boys especially, don't share your feelings, be hard as a rock, blah, blah, blah.
Don't cry.
Well, don't cry, that kind of stuff. And it's like that just doesn't seem healthy. And so she'll tell him, like, you guys can cry, it's okay. Dad's okay with it too. And I'm like, you guys can cry, it's all right, no problem. I'm like, you do it for 5 minutes, you feel better. It just happens.
Right.
And
it's
they're like,
gift.
It's just like, well, I don't want to. Like, no one wants to. It just kind of
happens. But emotions are a gift, and the sooner you do it, the better you'll feel.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of like exercise. You start exercising, your body feels better. You express yourself, you feel better. When you're holding something in and you finally let it go, it's like, oh, why was I so worried about this thing?
Seriously, it sets you free. As soon as you let it go and say it out loud, the burden is lifted. It's amazing.
It's so weird. You wouldn't think that something like that's weightless would weigh you down so much. You know what I mean?
But it does.
It so does. And that mindset is so important to try to maintain, that you have to just kind of do the hard stuff so you can be lighter and go throughout life enjoying yourself. Because who doesn't want to, enjoy yourself?
Right.
But, oh my gosh. So I want to talk about your illustrator real quick.
Sure.
Was it really heavily involved, or was she just kind of taken by the seat of her pants? She goes, I got this, and just ran? Were you like in?
It was a wonderful journey with her.
Yeah.
Katie is wonderful. She's a mom herself.
Cool.
She knows a lot of, she obviously knew I was brand new to this world. She loved what I wanted to do.
Good.
She knew that they were my babies, both my pageant babies and my, so she really took that on as an honor and wanted to bring it to light the best way possible. And I'm type A, if you haven't noticed. And she took it and ran with it. Okay, change this, do that. Let's see it. This is the wrong color. This is, and then she just, every single step of the way was perfection. It was like aligned that she was supposed to be my illustrator. And I truly think that's the case as well, because like I said, my intern from 10 years ago with my company comes back around. She's done with college. She's now an author. She was a former producer. She helped me with event production. She was amazing. She had her own show. And then she said, I've been fighting it my whole life. I'm meant to be a writer. And she stepped into that world and just taught herself watching YouTube how to do it. And
Wow.
when I saw that she had a book, I said, oh my gosh, girl, can you teach me how to do that? Because I have one too.
Yeah.
And she took me through every step and she said, you've got to know Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And so she introduced me to my illustrator, and it just,
So cool.
everything just lined up so perfectly. And she's wonderful. And I've already sent her 5 more projects. Hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to do that. And she's like, I'm helping other people right now. I know, just when you have time, I want to
Yeah.
get, a notch
Love
on the
that.
wall.
I love that. That's so cool. And what I'm really excited for you about is getting into schools, because that's how I got into wanting to be an author. I've wanted to be an author since I was like 5 or 6 years old, because we had an author like yourself who came in and told a story. We had a big old assembly. Can I remember what the assembly was about? No, I was like second
No.
grade. And we went back to the classroom. The author came too. He showed the book again. It had all these cool pictures. The idea that you could create something from just your noodle and it could
Yeah.
be all yours. And you could,
Yeah.
it was mind blowing. And then yours, it goes a step further, because his was just for plain old fun. But yours actually has a layer of teaching a lesson, a story. I can't remember what his was about. It's been so long, but has, that story that the teacher can talk to and they can hold on to. And then it just, that resonated with me too, all the way till I'm in my mid 30s. Now it's doing this stuff, trying to promote people. Just because someone came to our school and talked, imagine in 20 years when those kids who talked to in elementary school are now able to do what we're
It's
doing.
all planting seeds
It
that end up
is.
in individual harvests. It's
It is.
wonderful.
Yes.
So
And
magical.
it's so cool. It's neat to see. You can't really, I don't think, appreciate it until you get older and kind of can see the big picture a little more, as you just see it all kind of happen in front of you. Like, whoa, that I just made the connection there. Why didn't I see that before? I was not as appreciative as I was when, you're younger. It's just fun to see that. I'm glad you're doing that. So it's super cool.
I'm
Super
trying
cool.
anyway. So,
You know what? Like, so you're manifesting it. It takes time. I heard
yes.
a fun quote. Actually, one of my coworkers told me. He goes, "People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. So as
Yes.
long as you're making a single bit of progress every day over that course of the year, you're going to go far. So it's just go slow and eventually embody the turtle and the old turtle and the hare, tortoise and the hare fable. I mean, that's what I try to do. Slow
Yeah.
and steady wins that race."
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So you're also a life coach?
A little bit here and
Little
there.
little
Yeah.
bit,
I,
little
I took
bit.
I took many people starting their own businesses, girls within the pageant world that wanted to step out and start their own type of vision or brand. It's just come naturally. And
Sure.
it hasn't been something where I've ever promoted myself as that, but I've done a significant amount of it through my life. And and I life coach myself every day. And it's what I want to do for kids and to teach. You get up and say, this day is going to be awesome. Something great's going to happen today.
Right.
And when you get up and you manifest things for your brand, you manifest things for shaping your message, your target markets, it's all combined. It's
Yeah.
it's knowing who you are, what you want, and how you're going to get it. And
Yeah.
I've been very blessed to help people accomplish the actual answer for them as an individual or brand or both
Okay.
to all of those questions.
Very
The
cool.
hardest one is, who are you? Usually takes the
Uh,
longest.
yeah. And it's people just go with the titles that they are and not with it's a lot deeper than that. It can be a lot deeper than that. Exactly. Mind, heart, soul, all the above. So if you had to give anybody who is an upcoming author, maybe children's book author, any kind of tip on how to, where to, the best tip you could give them, what would you give them to start their author journey?
Find someone who owns a local bookstore that's a good, decent human that will let you pick their brain, because
Yeah.
I found that, and I've got to tell you, it's going to lead to so much more than I ever could have imagined one conversation could lead to. But
Interesting.
finding your mentors in any industry is really important. kind of spirit circle that lifts you up when you're bummed out that your books aren't selling, that can give you ideas, that can give you podcasts to reach out to, that kind of laid the groundwork. They've done all the hard work to get to where they're incredibly successful, and they're willing to give you a hand up and to send the elevator back down to bring you up with them. I think that's really important, is finding people that are like that. There are a lot of groups within each state that are for authors, and you can look those things up. There's a lot of Facebook groups, but I like the in-person groups where you can actually connect with people, read their energy, look them in the eyes, shake their hand, give them a hug, and really figure out the people that are going to give you that are meant for you to have that mentorship relationship. It's very important.
Yeah, it's a good kind of full circle there. That personal touch, talking to someone real who's had actual experience, because going on Facebook groups where they're great because you have this wide reach.
They are.
However, it's easy to get lost in the water. It's just you're a drop in a bucket.
You also have to find the ways to have that personal connection. In this day and age, you have to be a part of all the social media things to get your book out there, to get your name out there, to get everything out there. But the in-person connection, the going to a chamber networking group, a women's group, if you're a woman, there are so many different things that you wouldn't think are the place for an author, where you can meet the mentors that, hey, they wrote a book too. Hey, it's really successful, but they also have a finance business and they're willing to help you with both. It's just, there's all these ways that people can intertwine in a beautiful way. But the author group specifically in person is something that, meeting someone who owns a bookstore, doing a book reading, and then ending up having kind of a mentorship scenario. It's one of the most beautiful things that has happened. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of beautiful things that happen. I get to put my dog and my girls in a book. My intern, the teacher becomes the student. My girlfriend who did it for her son, every single event she does, she sends to me because she's amazing. There's been so many beautiful things. My illustrator, we have a definite connection, but that story time that led to, hey, can I pick your brain? And just a person being fully open to it and sharing all of the knowledge, wanting nothing in exchange, just wanting to help more people do this outside of technology. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I love that you actually put bringing in other community members into becoming an author. Like, I've talked to a couple bookstore folks, and it's like, we don't think about it, like those who sell the books and are around the books all the time, they have some serious knowledge and insight into how books sell, what they look like, what sells, what doesn't sell. You get the picture. And then they have, like you said, a place that they can house you to do events. Whoa, that is huge. And it's a very personal, because it's a mom and pop shop or whatever you want to call them. That's even cooler.
And to have my books in those places, to me, is cooler than Barnes and Noble and Amazon. No offense to either business. Everyone has their place, but I'm in a local community bookstore here. She sends any money that they get to a local rescue. So all of the bookstores that have my book, and there are several. There's a little bookmobile in Chicago that goes to Players for Pets. There's one in Grays Lake that goes to Waukegan Animals Getting Saved. There's one in Wisconsin that goes to Wisconsin Pittie Rescue. And it just goes straight to them. And it's just such a beautiful intertwining thing. And I love the bookstore owners and being the ones that are open for the picking of the brain. That would be my advice.
Oh, that's so cool. Excellent advice. I love that advice. So now you're welcome. So now if people want to get a hold of you, because you're in where again?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay. If people want to get a hold of you in Chicago, now, are you willing to travel all over the place to go do?
All over the place. Yes.
Sweet. Okay. So they want to get a hold of you to maybe have you come do some speaking, maybe at some elementary schools or bigger venues, or just, get a copy of your book. Where can they do that? Where can they do that?
My name is Randi with an I, Moxi with an I. So randymoxi.com. That's all my information is there. There's a link to my book. It's about to be upgraded, but it still looks pretty good. And you'll be able to link out to purchase my book. You'll be able to contact me directly. And I'm here to help with anything anyone might want to do.
Sweet. All right. Excellent. Guys, please go get her book, because it's supporting her mission, and then all the awesome dogs she's trying to help rescue too. So, it's your dollar is going to many things, which is really, really great. Excellent. Randi, this has been super fun, and we have killed well over an hour. I love it.
I love it. I love that you're going to edit something wonderful and make us sound really eloquent.
We already sound eloquent. I barely have to touch it. It'll be just fine. And remember,
Ryan, Brian, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Like I got to just requote you. The path to perfection leads to madness. So you know what? Let's not be mad, and we'll deal with imperfections. So we love imperfections. That's what gives us personality.
That's right.
So thank you again for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule, but it's all great. It's a great busy. Yes. Yes.
I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm grateful for you coming on here and hanging out with me for a little, like an hour and a half or so. So I guess we could probably go on for another hour or two, but
we'll new friends are great friends.
What's that?
New friends are great friends.
They are. They don't know anything about you, so you can tell them everything. It's beautiful. All right, guys, please go get her books. Help support her and her cause. It's all great stuff. The book looks beautiful. You guys can see it in the thumbnail there. Go check her out. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, stay mighty and keep reading. Are you an author? Do you know someone who is? If so, then message me, Ryan Oliver, at ryanmoliver.com to set up a free appointment to discuss being showcased on the Mighty Books podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the Mighty Books YouTube channel and share the link to this and more episodes with your friends and family. Thanks for listening. So long for now. Stay mighty and keep reading.